Welcome to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers, newbies, and veterans, and everyone in between. We're hosted by M.A. Lee with the assistance of Remy Black and Edie Rooms, all from Writers Inc. Books. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Each episode lasts as long as it takes to fix a quick dinner, drive a short commute, or take a brisk walk. Resources and links are in the show notes. Visit us at therightfocus.blogspot.com. Now, on to this week's episode. It's week 8 of the Summer Writing Challenge. 8 is symbolic of 2 disparate things, almost to completion, when completion is symbolic 10, and a step beyond perfection, as 7 is the perfect number. We are not perfect here. We're not even a step before, let alone beyond. We do try. After a quick tip on the 2 requirements for every story, we have our interview with writer Paula Messina. Closing, as usual, is the check-in. Let's begin. Quick tip number 8. 2 requirements for every story. First, surprise. Yes, I'm going over this again. When you're trying to think of how to surprise the reader and your protagonist, you need to reject what most people would think of. Think harder. Not the first idea or the second one that you think of. Go to the third or fourth idea. Surprises keep stories moving and readers reading. When you can tie multiple surprises to your antagonist, you have great storytelling. Always think outside the box of what normal people would do. People were shocked by Gone Girl and The Sixth Sense. But if you're a writer, you can figure out both from the promotions. I did. Writers teach themselves story structure and character development. It's hard to surprise us. Tilt your head sideways with betrayals and antagonists and angst and surprises. Red herrings are examples of surprises. These are characters who deliberately distract from the major antagonist. Originally in the mystery genre, a red herring is a character who can be equally guilty of the crime. Except for a few planted and well-hidden clues, the red herring could actually be the murderer. And the second requirement, angst. I don't like to write angst, but readers crave it. Strong protagonist, twisty antagonist, clever surprises, these drive great storytelling. These 3 give all writers angst, and when writers do their writing right, they also give the readers angst. Work in 2 betrayals. Have one early, before the 20% mark, and the other before the 3/4 mark of the story, around 60 to 75%. People hate betrayal. They remember it like acid burning their memories and their soul. Some people never quite recover from betrayal. Others keep waiting on the traitors to redeem themselves. That could happen, but it mostly doesn't. The betraying character is often called a shapeshifter. We have 2 forms. The character who seems to be working for the antagonist, but is not. Either this character was trapped into the appearance of an alliance with evil, or this character is working on redemption for themselves. The other shapeshifter is a true traitor, the double agent, the one who appears to support the protagonist, but has been working for the antagonist the whole time. Save the exposure of this true traitor for the latter part of the novel. All right, we're starting to record now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so computer problems and everything. We survived. And I hope you're having a good day other than this.
Yeah, it has to be up from here.
Okay, you are Paula Messina. Did I say everything correctly?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, how long have you been writing?
Well, that's a challenging question because I stopped writing for a long time, and then I started get seriously writing about 6 years, committing to it about 6 years ago.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah. I had written all my life, but I just tinkered with it. And
yeah,
I have a lot of story starts. Uh, and then in 2013, I started looking ahead at retirement, which was going to happen in about 4 years or so. And I thought, what am I going to do after that? I should pursue my dream of
yeah,
writing and publishing. Uh, and so it took me 2 solid years to get disciplined enough that I could manage to work a little bit in writing every day in addition to my job. And then
yeah,
I started publishing in 2015. And so I've been going at it ever since then. Now,
yeah.
what do you write? What kind of mysteries do you write?
Well, I'm working on an historical novel
Ah,
set in 1944. I've been surprised. I've been writing different things, some humorous stuff. I mean, contemporary, of course. I'm not a gory writer, but I'm not a cozy writer either. I suppose I probably lean more towards cozy, but I don't write cozies.
that's
Um,
me.
yeah,
I'm not humorous enough to write what I think of as cozies when I'm thinking of the genre as a whole. To me, they have funny things that happen, and mine are usually not that way. But I also don't like gore, so I
yeah,
write historical mysteries myself.
yeah.
Um, I started in the Regency era and now have moved into the 1920s. So,
I don't. I have two short stories that use the characters in my novel.
mhm.
One of them has been published, and um, I don't know if I have anything else that's historical. I can't think of anything.
Okay.
No, well, no, I do. I have another unpublished story that's set in the 19th century. Yeah.
So, how do you handle challenges in your writing? Um,
In the writing itself, you mean?
yes.
Well, I guess one thing I can talk about is this novel I'm working on. I'm not quite sure at what point, but I realized that I had solved a problem that it has always been challenging for me to write about pain,
Ah. Mhm.
but I'm excellent at giving pain, giving my characters pain. I'm like really superb at that. And it was horrible for me that it kept me from writing
Mhm.
because it was so disturbing. I guess it's a thing of distancing yourself from it, maybe. But I realized as I was writing this novel, and my poor main character, I mean, I really pile it on him. I realized that I was writing through that. And I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I was able to overcome his pain, if that makes sense.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think one of the reasons is I am kind of a humorous writer, and the novel is serious. I guess you'd say serious, but it has humor in it.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the ways he copes with his pain.
Mhm.
So there are parts of the novel that are funny. And I think that was the solution.
Right. Now, that's a life solution too.
Yeah.
You go through your traumatic
Ye-
events and angsty events, and when you look back on them and you're trying to, well, as you're coping with them as well, you're looking for ways to make yourself elevate your spirits, like have
Yes,
laughter and that kind of thing.
I agree completely. I mean, that humor is a way of getting through life.
Mhm.
Because if you don't laugh, you
Yes.
just sit there and cry. You'd
Yes.
be miserable without humor. So I absolutely agree. And I had started a novel a while ago. And again, I'm really good at piling on horror for my poor characters. I'm like really good at it. And I just couldn't write. I couldn't keep writing. And looking back, I think that was the problem. It wasn't humorous. I didn't relieve it in any way. And it was important for me as a writer to have some relief from the pain,
Yes.
trouble.
Um,
Yeah.
I was writing a story that was getting darker and darker, and
Yeah.
it became very difficult for me just to sit down and write about that
Yes.
story, because you do want to avoid that in your life. You can't live in the
Yeah.
darkness
Yeah.
all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, one of the things we all do this, we'll say something like, she was always mean to me. But but it's not true that
Right.
none of us are all one thing.
Hmm.
And even in the darkest moments, you can find joy.
Yes. Yes.
It might be a little difficult, but you can find it. And that is one of the lessons of life is that you need to look for joy
Hmm.
where you can find it
Right.
and not just wallow in the bad stuff.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think sometimes, well, I taught teenagers for many years, and I could
Oh,
tell when some of them were just, they would relish being in, it was almost like they were self-pitying themselves and
yeah.
trying to make the situation worse. And I'm going like, this is not a good life coping skill.
No, yeah.
You've got to pull yourself out of that and stop relishing the dark times, stop relishing times when you feel bad about things, and look for ways to elevate yourself. And I think many in society need that lesson now.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are layers to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So even like, for example, when somebody dies, like say if a loved one has been sick for a long time, there are a lot of conflicting emotions. On one hand, you miss the person, but on the other hand, you're glad she's been released from her pain. And I
Yes,
think it's important to realize that you can have lots of feelings
all at the same time.
all at the same time. And
Mm-hmm.
that can include humor or enjoy or some release from the pain,
Yes,
and the suffering.
yeah, I know. You know, my father was ill for a very long time before his death,
Yes,
but at his funeral, everybody was telling funny stories about his
yes,
life. And so that made his funeral easier to get through because of that.
yes. Well, that is one of the places where people do become humorous for
Mhm.
that very reason. Like if you go to a wake, people will tell funny stories, and it is a way to relieve the tension. And I think it's also a way to recognize the person, what was good about your father.
Mhm.
I mean, his positive assets or what they liked about him, what they would remember about him,
Right,
what they
right.
wanted to share
Yes,
with you and everyone else. Here's this wonderful man, and here's a little piece of how wonderful he was.
right.
Yeah.
How else do you see challenges in your writing, or with promoting or anything like that?
I think the easy part of writing is writing. I don't mean that it isn't work, but it's the other stuff that I find really difficult.
Mhm.
Of like part of it, like believing in myself is one
Right.
thing, and then getting it out there. Um, the, that that to me is the real challenge. The other stuff, which I think is true for a lot of people. I don't know what you've been finding, but
It was hard for me to learn how to write market copy, uh,
uh,
to learn how to promote my book,
yes,
promote my brand, because I was grew up being taught to be humble. Don't
yeah,
say this is a fantastic thing. It might not necessarily be fantastic to everybody, but with books and things, you do say, I want this to be a fantastic read. And so you have to use the word fantastic in
plastic.
in your market copy, and you're going like, this is totally against everything I grew up with.
Yeah, Yeah, I think that's true for most of us. It is hard. I'm
Mhm.
always amazed. I have a friend who just, it doesn't seem to bother her at all. And it just astounds me that she's able to do all these things. And I admire her for it. But she doesn't seem to have any qualms about getting herself out there. And I think that's more unusual.
Maybe it is. I just wish I could take on more of that
Yeah.
marketing personality. I would not do well in sales at all. If somebody came up and said, I don't know if I should buy this or not, I'm going, well, maybe you shouldn't. Good. So this is probably going to come out sometime in July, the sort of toward the
Okay.
end of July. Do you have anything you want to promote?
Um,
Anything coming out this summer?
I have a couple of stories that a Black Cat Weekly has, but I have no idea when they're coming out.
Ah. Mhm.
So I guess the answer is no, because the other stuff is like either, yeah, like in limbo or something.
Right.
So I know he's going to be he has two stories, but I haven't been given any information about when he'll use them.
Okay. And do you have a website where people can find?
No, I'm really horrible. No, um, no, I'm really bad. I'm trying to like be better. But no, I don't. So what can I say?
That's a challenge you need to
That's
overcome.
that's a challenge I need to overcome. So I don't know if I can do. Is there anything else you want to ask me?
Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Paula, for agreeing to this interview. And thank goodness we worked out the computer
Oh,
problems.
I apologize profusely. At least I
That's all.
finally figured out what it was. And my mother was from Alabama. It's lovely to hear a Southern accent.
Oh, thank you. I had someone from Canada the other day. She was saying, "I can tell you're from East Tennessee. I can totally tell." And I'm going like, "Is that a compliment or is that not a compliment?" Uh, but she was saying things like "hose" and "a boat," and I thought I'm not going to talk about her accent.
And you didn't say anything about mine, so that's okay. All right.
Well, I don't hear your accent at all, so uh,
Well, everybody has an accent, so and,
that's
and
true.
so you have books out now, right?
Yes, I do. I have published over 50 books.
Oh my God.
Well, when I started, I had a lot of stories that I needed to write.
And are there Regencies? Or some of them
There,
are.
some about 12 of them are Regency historical mysteries,
Wow.
and then I have 5 stories set in the 1920s that are also
Oh,
historical mysteries, and then I have a pen name in which I write historical fantasy, and that
oh,
has 4 novels that are out and 15 short stories with that.
oh,
I have another pen name that I use. I had to do different pen names because I hate it when I read an author and they
yeah,
switch genres on me.
yeah.
So I have what they call noble bright fantasies, where they have all these epic battles and things like that. And I have 12 books in that under that
Oh
pen
my
name.
goodness.
And then I have 10 books in nonfiction about writing.
Wow. Do you want more victims?
No, I
Um,
don't think I do.
oh, okay. No, I mean, do you want more people to interview? Is what I meant.
No, I've got a full set of people that are going
Okay.
to last me throughout the summer writing challenge. Now, I probably next year will want some names, and I'll put out the call again,
Yeah.
and you can aim people in my direction. So she's okay. She actually does help you out.
Okay. Well, I'll look forward to seeing this. And where is is it on YouTube or
I will send you links so that you can find it. I'm on
yeah.
YouTube and I'm on many audio platforms, Apple, Google Play, Spotify,
Okay.
Samsung Podcast,
And
iHeart,
you're
TuneIn.
bad at marketing, huh?
Yes, I am. I don't do any marketing whatsoever. I don't do ads. I don't do anything like that at all.
Yeah, but this is marketing.
Well, it is in some respects.
Yeah.
It's also, my job for over 30 years was teaching. And
Yeah.
so, basically, when I started the podcast, it was like I had things that I needed to teach people. So I just kept talking and teaching
Yeah.
in that respect. And I just keep going with that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, it was lovely to meet you finally. I'm so sorry that my computer was disconnected and that this caused such a problem, but it was lovely to spend some time with you.
Time for our 8th check-in. Our days are July 16 to 22. 36,764 words required, and I'm already ahead of that. 49.49 needed for the week. Wednesday, July 16, and Thursday, July 17, which continued Wednesday's work. Research and tucking into problems that I've seen, matching the first 5 chapters to the remaining 4 that still need to be drafted. Lots of sticky notes, both large and small, to straighten out upcoming scenes before I reach the drafting of them. This work now will help speed that portion up and prevents problems in the revision stage. It helps to do it now. Thursday, I did add running errands that I had to during the morning's cool hours. Friday, July 18, Chapter 6 started, 886 words. Saturday, July 19, finished Chapter 6 with 1,345 words. The total in the document is now 15,916 words, which is half my goal of 30,000 words. And Chapter 6 is halfway through, about. Sunday, July 20, no writing. Monday, July 21, a day to focus on the podcast. Not such a big day as last week, 1,974 words of a script. Tuesday, July 22, organizing the mess that my desk had become. So, for the week, 4,205 words, below the required 4,949, but that happens. The actual is 45,429, still far ahead of needed. Thanks for listening to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers at all levels, hosted by Emma Lee from Writers Inc. Books, assisted by Renee Black and Edie Runes. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Music is licensed through Audio Jungle, called Background Music Loop. Its creator is Alexander Polishchuk, known on Audio Jungle as Plastic 3. The music comes in different iterations. Show notes and resource links for this and other episodes can be found at therightfocus.blogspot.com. Write to us at winkbooks@aol.com when you have questions, comments, and speculations. We will try to answer you as quickly as possible. By the way, we will not mind your email address. That's rude. If you find value in our content, share with your writing friends or write a review. We're small beans here without the advertising budget of the big peeps, and you can make a difference. And whatever occurs, write on.